At my cousin's engagement, I got laughed at for being single. Then my fiancé made a grand entrance with a helicopter and 3 bodyguards. Has anyone ever looked down on you just because you were single? Hi, I'm Sophia, fiercely independent, and I used to think I had to explain myself every time someone asked, "Why are you still single?" Well, this is the story of how everything changed, all in one day. You see, it wasn't just any day. It was my cousin Clarissa's engagement party. She's one of those people who live for attention. The dress, the crowd, the grand decor, it was all made to show off. And me? I was just the single cousin in the background. Again. But that day didn't end how anyone expected. Thank you for being here. Your support means everything. You're not just viewers. You're part of a growing community of people who love good stories, justice, and a bit of revenge served cold. Before we begin, I'd be glad to know that my story is reaching people in different parts of the world, so let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And again, thank you for being part of this beautiful community that's growing every day. Your likes, your comments, your support. It means more than I can say. Let's begin. I'm standing in my apartment, the late afternoon sun filtering through the blinds when my phone buzzes on the counter. It's a text from Aunt Linda. Clarissa's engagement party is next Saturday. You're coming, right? She'd love to see you. I stare at the screen, my thumb hovering. Clarissa, my cousin, the queen of attention, is getting married. Of course, it's a big deal. Her life's always been a performance, every milestone a spectacle. I can already picture the glitz, the guest list, her smug smile as she flaunts her ring. And me? I'll be the single cousin again, fielding pitying looks and sly digs. I set the phone down, my stomach twisting. That evening, I'm at Mom's house, chopping vegetables for dinner while she stirs a pot of marinara. The kitchen smells of garlic and basil, but the air feels heavy when she brings up the invite. "You're not seriously going, are you?" she says, her voice sharp as she glances at me. "They'll mock you again, like at Thanksgiving." I keep chopping, the knife steady in my hand, though her words sting. Last Thanksgiving, Clarissa had made a show of asking when I'd finally settle down, her tone dripping with fake concern as the table laughed. I'd smiled through it, but the memory burns. "Let them," I say, my voice calm but firm. "I'm not defined by my relationship status." Mom pauses, her spoon still, her eyes searching mine. "Sophia, you don't have to prove anything to them." I meet her gaze, a faint smile tugging at my lips. "I'm not. I just want to be there." She doesn't know the half of it. Nobody does. For months I've been seeing Adrian, powerful, private, and unlike anyone I've ever met. He's not just a boyfriend, he's a force, someone who moves through the world with quiet authority. We've kept it secret, not because I'm ashamed, but because I don't need the world's approval. Not Mom's, not Clarissa's, not anyone's. But as I leave Mom's house that night, her warning echoes. I know what I'm walking into, and I know I'll need every ounce of strength to face it. The week flies by, a blur of work at my graphic design studio and late-night calls with Adrian. He's away on business, his voice low and steady over the phone, promising he'll try to make it to the party. "Don't let them get to you," he says, and I can hear the smile in his voice. "I won't," I reply, but my chest tightens. I don't tell him about the knot in my stomach, the part of me that dreads being the target again. By Saturday, I'm standing in front of my mirror, slipping into a sleek, emerald green dress, elegant, but understated, nothing flashy. I don't need to compete with Clarissa's spotlight, I just need to survive it. I arrive at the venue, a sprawling estate with manicured lawns and fairy lights strung across the patio. The air hums with chatter, clinking glasses, and soft music. Clarissa's in her element, gliding through the crowd in a glittering gown, her fiancé, Ethan, at her side. She spots me as I step onto the patio, my heels clicking softly. "Sophia!" she calls, her voice loud enough to turn heads. "You made it!" Her smile is wide, but her eyes glint with something sharper. I nod, offering a polite smile. Wouldn't miss it. The party's in full swing, guests mingling with champagne flutes, The decor screaming extravagance, crystal chandeliers, floral arches, a dessert table that looks like it belongs in a magazine. I keep to the edges, sipping a sparkling water, exchanging small talk with relatives. But I feel the eyes, the whispers. Aunt Linda pulls me aside, her voice low. "You doing okay, honey? You know how Clarissa gets?" I nod, my smile tight. "I'm fine." But I'm not invisible for long. Dinner is served under a massive tent, and I'm seated at a table with Clarissa's friends, all glossy hair and designer dresses. She stands to give a toast, her ring catching the light. "To love, to family, and to new beginnings," she says, her voice sugary. The crowd claps, but then she turns, her gaze locking on me. "And to Sophia," she adds, her tone teasing. "Still riding solo, huh? Should have brought a cardboard cutout at least." Laughter ripples through the tent, sharp and stinging. Her friends snicker, one muttering, "Poor thing." Ethan chuckles, looking away. I feel every pair of eyes on me, the heat rising in my cheeks. I could shrink, could let the moment swallow me, but I don't. I lift my glass, declare a faint smile playing on my lips. "To Clarissa," I say, my voice steady. "And to unexpected surprises." The words are cryptic, deliberate, and I see Clarissa's brow furrow, a flicker of confusion crossing her face. The laughter dies down, replaced by curious murmurs. I sit back, my heart pounding, but my expression calm. They don't know what's coming. They don't know Adrian's on his way, that he's not just any man, but someone who commands rooms, who moves with power most people can't fathom. And they definitely don't know he's arriving with a helicopter and 3 bodyguards, ready to turn this party upside down. I take a sip of my water, the cool liquid grounding me. Clarissa's back to charming the crowd, oblivious to the storm brewing. I glance at my phone, no message from Adrian yet, but I know he's close. The open loop of his arrival hangs in the air, a secret only I carry. Let them laugh. Let them judge. They're about to see who I really am. I sit under the glowing tent, the sting of Clarissa's toast still fresh, her laughter echoing in my ears. My faint smile lingers, a shield against the curious glances from the other guests. My cryptic toast, to unexpected surprises, has left a ripple of unease, and I catch Clarissa shooting me a puzzled look before she turns back to her adoring crowd. My phone stays silent in my clutch. No word from Adrian yet, but I feel the weight of what's coming. The anticipation coils in my chest, a quiet thrill beneath my calm exterior. They mocked me for being single, but they don't know the man behind my silence, or the storm he's about to bring. A week ago, I was in a different world. Adrian and I sat across from each other at a small, candlelit restaurant tucked away in the city's quiet corner. No paparazzi, no crowds, just us, the clink of wine glasses and the low hum of jazz. He wore a tailored suit, his dark eyes steady as he leaned forward, his voice low. "I prefer silence over noise," he said, his words deliberate, like he was measuring each one. "The world's too loud already." I nodded, swirling my glass, understanding him in a way I hadn't expected when we first met. Adrian's not just successful, he's a titan, a man who builds empires in the shadows, avoiding the spotlight Clarissa craves. "But when I show up for you," he added, a rare smile tugging at his lips, "I show up big." I laughed softly, brushing off the weight of his words. "You don't have to prove anything to me," I said, but his gaze held mine, intense, unyielding. "It's not about proof, Sophia. It's about you knowing I'm all in." There was a glint in his eyes, a hint of something he wasn't sharing. I didn't press. Adrian's private, and I've learned to respect the walls he keeps up. But as we left the restaurant, his hand on the small of my back, he mentioned being tied up with plans for the next week. "Big ones," he said, his tone cryptic. I thought he meant business, a merger, a deal. I didn't know he was orchestrating a moment that would flip my world upside down. Back at the engagement party, the memory of that dinner grounds me. Clarissa's friends are whispering now, their eyes darting toward me, trying to decode my calm. I sip my sparkling water, my fingers steady despite the pulse hammering in my throat. The tent feels too warm, the chatter too loud, but I hold my ground. Aunt Linda slides into the seat beside me, her perfume sharp. "You okay, Soph?" she asks, her voice low, laced with concern. "Clarissa's got no filter tonight." I turn to her, my smile faint but deliberate. "She never does," I say, my tone light but edged. "But I'm fine." Aunt Linda hesitates, like she wants to say more, but I shift my gaze to the horizon, where the estate's lawn stretches into the dusk. Somewhere out there, Adrian's coming, and I know he's not walking in alone. The band strikes up a new song, and Clarissa pulls Ethan onto the dance floor, her gown shimmering under the lights. She's the center of attention, as always, but I notice her glance my way again, her smile tighter now. My toast rattled her, and I let that knowledge settle in, a quiet power I've rarely felt in her presence. I've spent years as the single cousin, dodging questions about my love life, letting her shine while I stayed in the background. But Adrian's changed that, not because of who he is, a man with wealth and influence, but because of how he sees me, whole, enough, worthy. My phone buzzes softly, and I slip it from my clutch. A text from Adrian. 5 minutes out. Stay calm. My breath catches, but I don't reply. I don't need to. 5 minutes. The open loop I've carried all night, the secret of who I'm dating, why I'm so unshaken by Clarissa's jabs, is about to close. I set the phone down, my heart racing but my face serene. The guests around me are oblivious, laughing and clinking glasses, but I feel the air shift, like the calm before a storm. Aunt Linda's still watching me, her brow furrowed. "You sure you're okay?" she presses. I turn to her, my eyes steady. "Better than okay," I say, my voice low but firm. She frowns, confused, but before she can ask more, a distant hum cuts through the music. It's faint at first, then grows louder, a rhythmic thrum that makes heads turn. The band falters, the dancers pause, and Clarissa's laugh cuts off mid-note. I stay seated, my hands folded, as the sound becomes unmistakable. A helicopter, low and approaching fast. Whispers ripple through the tent. "What's that? Is it part of the party?" Clarissa's frozen on the dance floor, her eyes darting to Ethan, who looks just as confused. I take a slow sip of my water, my pulse steady now. Adrian's here, and he's not coming quietly. I know him. When he said he'd show up big, he meant it. 3 bodyguards, a helicopter, a grand entrance that'll make Clarissa's glitzy party look like a backyard barbecue. The thought sends a thrill through me, not because I need the spectacle, but because it's his way of saying I'm worth it. The hum grows deafening, and guests spill out of the tent, craning their necks toward the sky. I stay where I am, letting the moment build. Clarissa's voice carries over the chaos, sharp and annoyed. "What's going on? This isn't on the schedule." I smile to myself, the first real smile of the night. She's about to learn what I've known all along. My worth doesn't need her validation. And when Adrian steps out of that helicopter, with his quiet power and unshakable presence, everyone will see it too. The helicopter's hum fades into the distance, but the buzz of confusion lingers in the tent. Guests crane their necks, murmuring about the unexpected noise, while Clarissa's sharp voice cuts through, demanding answers from a flustered event planner. I sit calmly, my hands folded, Adrian's text, 5 minutes out, burning in my mind. The storm is coming, and I'm ready. But for now, the party churns on, and I'm still the single cousin, weathering Clarissa's world until Adrian's grand entrance flips the script. The band resumes, and the tent fills with laughter and clinking glasses. I'm ushered to my seat for dinner, and my stomach drops when I see the place card. The singles table, tucked in a corner, far from Clarissa's glowing inner circle. It's no accident. Her friends smirk as I sit, their whispers barely concealed. I smooth my emerald green dress, my expression serene, but inside I'm steeling myself. The table's a mix of awkward plus ones and distant cousins, all avoiding eye contact. Then Uncle Leo, red-faced from too much whiskey, plops down beside me. "Sophia, He slurs, his voice loud enough to draw stares. 33 and no prospects? That's tragic. He gestures to a balding man across the table, a twice-divorced dentist with a forced smile. You met Gary. He's a catch. Gary nods, clearly embarrassed, but Uncle Leo's on a roll. Come on, Sophia, you can't be picky forever. The table chuckles, and I feel the familiar sting of being the punchline. I could shrink, let their laughter bury me. But I don't. I turn to Uncle Leo, my voice cool and steady. I'd rather be single than settle, I say, my eyes locked on his. The words land like a quiet blade, and his grin falters. Gary coughs, looking away, and the table falls silent. I take a sip of my water, my pulse steady, knowing Adrian's minutes away from shattering their assumptions. The moment passes, and the spotlight shifts to Clarissa and Ethan. He stands, glass raised, launching into a speech that's equal parts tacky and self-congratulatory. To my queen, Clarissa, who makes every day a fairy tale, he declares, his voice booming. The guests cheer, swept up in the romance, but I catch the performative edge in his smile, the way Clarissa basks in the applause. Her eyes flick to me briefly, a smug glint, as if to say, "This is what you're missing." I hold her gaze, my face unreadable, then set my glass down and slip out of the tent, needing air. The balcony overlooks the estate's lawn, the fairy lights casting a soft glow. The night is cool, the distant hum of the party muffled. I lean against the railing, my thoughts drifting to Adrian, his quiet intensity, his promise to show up big. I don't need the helicopter or the bodyguards, but I know why he's doing it. It's not for them. It's for me, to show the world I'm not invisible. My phone buzzes in my clutch, but I don't check it. I can feel the shift coming, the moment when Clarissa's laughter will choke in her throat. A guest stumbles onto the balcony, giggling, but freezes when she sees me. "Oh, Sophia, didn't see you there," she says, her tone pitying. I nod, offering a faint smile, and she scurries back inside. Alone again, I close my eyes, the anticipation building. Uncle Leo's words, Clarissa's toast, the singles table, they're all noise, fading against the truth I carry. Adrian's out there, his plans weeks in the making, and when he arrives, it won't just be an entrance, it'll be a reckoning. I straighten, my resolve hardening, and turn back toward the tent. The party's loud, but it's about to get louder. I step back into the tent, the cool night air still clinging to my skin, the party's chaos swallowing me once more. Clarissa's laughter rings out from the dance floor, her gown shimmering as she twirls with Ethan, oblivious to the shift I feel in my bones. My phone buzzes again in my clutch. Adrian, I'm sure, but I don't check it. I don't need to. The moment is close, and I'm ready to let the truth unfold. Uncle Leo's drunken matchmaking, Clarissa's biting toast, the singles table, they've all built to this, a crescendo I've been holding back. I take my seat, my expression serene, as the guests chatter and clink glasses, unaware of the storm about to break. Then it starts, a low, rhythmic chopping sound. Faint at first, like a pulse in the distance. Heads turn, conversations falter, and the band's music stumbles. The sound grows louder, unmistakable, a mechanical thrum that vibrates through the tent. Guests look up, craning their necks toward the glass ceiling. "What's that?" someone mutters. Clarissa freezes mid-twirl, her smile slipping as she glances at Ethan, who looks just as confused. I stay seated, my hands folded, my heart steady. I know what's coming. Outside, the noise becomes deafening, and the fairy lights sway as a gust sweeps through. Guests spill onto the lawn, pointing at the sky. A sleek black helicopter hovers over the estate, its spotlight cutting through the dusk. Security guards, hired for the event no doubt, rush across the grass, barking orders to clear a landing spot. Panic ripples through the crowd. "Is this planned?" a woman gasps. "Is it an emergency?" Clarissa's voice rises, shrill and indignant. "This isn't in the program." I sip my water, my lips curving slightly. She's about to lose her spotlight and she doesn't even know it. The chopper descends, its blades slowing, and the crowd parts like a tide. Security forms a perimeter, their movements sharp and practiced. The side door slides open, and the gasps are immediate, sharp intakes of breath that ripple through the tent. Adrian steps out, his tailored suit catching the light, his presence commanding even from a distance. 3 bodyguards follow in tight formation, their dark suits and earpieces screaming authority. The crowd falls silent, the band long forgotten. Clarissa's champagne glass slips from her hand, shattering on the floor with a crystalline crash. Who is that?" a guest stammers, her voice trembling with awe. I rise from my chair, smoothing my dress, and step forward, my heels clicking on the polished floor. Every eye is on me now, the weight of their stares shifting from pity to confusion. Clarissa's frozen, her mouth open, her perfect night unraveling. I don't rush, don't falter. I walk toward the lawn, toward Adrian, who's striding across the grass, his eyes locked on mine. The bodyguards fan out, keeping the crowd at bay, but I barely notice. It's just him and me, the world fading to a hum. I stop a few feet from him, my heart pounding but my voice steady. "My fiancé," I say, loud enough for the nearest guests to hear. The words detonate, a shockwave of whispers and gasps spreading through the crowd. Clarissa's face drains of color, her hand gripping Ethan's arm like a lifeline. Adrian steps closer, his smile subtle but warm, meant only for me. "Sorry I'm late," he says, his voice low, cutting through the chaos. I shake my head, a laugh escaping despite myself. "You're right on time." The guests are buzzing now, phones out, snapping photos, but I don't care. Adrian's here, his grand gesture weeks in the making, and it's not just about the helicopter or the bodyguards. It's about us, about me, the woman he sees when no one else did. Clarissa's party, her laughter, her world, it's all background noise now. I take his hand and the power shifts, undeniable and electric. Adrian's hand closes around mine, warm and steady, grounding me as the crowd's whispers swirl like a rising tide. His presence, tailored suit, quiet authority, 3 bodyguards flanking us, has turned Clarissa's glittering engagement party into a sideshow. Her shattered champagne glass lies in pieces on the floor, a perfect metaphor for her unraveling control. I meet Adrian's eyes, his subtle smile sparking a warmth in my chest. "You're right on time," I'd said, and I meant it. The helicopter, the bodyguards, the sheer audacity of his entrance. It's all for me, a declaration that I'm no longer the single cousin to be pitied. The guests are still buzzing, phones flashing, but I'm calm, tethered to him as the night shifts irrevocably. Adrian turns to the crowd, his voice low but commanding, cutting through the chaos like a blade. "I'm sorry I'm late," he says, his tone carrying just a hint of amusement. "I had to finalize arrangements for our Paris wedding." The words land like a thunderclap. Gasps ripple through the tent, followed by a wave of murmurs. Paris. Wedding. The guests' eyes dart between us, their pitying glances replaced by awe, envy, even disbelief. I feel the weight of Clarissa's stare, her face a mask of fury and shock, but I don't look at her. Not yet. I let Adrian's words settle, let the crowd's adoration wash over me, a tide I've never felt before. Clarissa steps forward, her gown swishing, her voice shrill as she tries to reclaim the spotlight. "You're engaged?" she stammers, her eyes wild, darting from me to Adrian. "Since when? Why didn't you say anything?" The accusation in her tone is clear. She's not just shocked, she's betrayed, as if my silence was a personal slight. I turn to her, my expression calm, my voice steady. "I was tired of explaining myself," I say, each word deliberate. "Now, I let people assume until they see for themselves." The crowd hushes, hanging on my words. Clarissa's mouth opens, but nothing comes out. For once, she's speechless, her smugness crumbling under the weight of my truth. I glance at Mom, standing near the edge of the tent, her hand pressed to her chest. Her eyes are wide, stunned, but there's a flicker of pride in them, a quiet acknowledgement that I've been carrying this secret, this strength, all along. She didn't know about Adrian, didn't know I'd been building a life bigger than anyone expected. I give her a small nod, and her lips curve into a shaky smile. The crowd, meanwhile, has flipped entirely. Clarissa's friends, who smirked at me at the singles table, are now whispering excitedly, their phones capturing every moment. "Who is he?" one mutters. "Did she say Paris?" Another gasps. I don't need to answer. Adrian's presence, his hand in mine, says it all. He leans closer, his voice low, meant only for me. "You okay?" he asks, his eyes searching mine. I nod, squeezing his hand. Better than okay. He smiles, and for a moment, the crowd fades. The chaos of the party, nothing compared to the quiet certainty between us. But Clarissa's not done. She steps closer, her voice sharp, trying to claw back control. "This is my night," she hisses, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "You couldn't let me have this?" Ethan tugs at her arm, murmuring something, but she shakes him off, her eyes locked on me, blazing with resentment. I could let her words cut, could feel the old sting of her need to diminish me. But I don't. I step forward, Adrian at my side, and meet her gaze. "I didn't come here to take anything from you," I say, my voice clear, carrying over the murmurs. "I came to celebrate you. But you made it about me, about mocking me. That was your choice." The tent is silent now, every eye on us. Clarissa's face flushes, her lips trembling, but she has no comeback. The truth is too heavy, too public. Guests shift uncomfortably, some nodding in my direction, their respect shifting like a tide. Adrian steps in, his voice smooth but firm. "We're here to toast Clarissa and Ethan," he says, raising an imaginary glass. "To love and to family." The crowd claps, hesitant at first, then louder, but it's different now. The applause isn't just for Clarissa, it's for us, for the woman they underestimated, and the man who showed up to prove them wrong. Clarissa forces a smile, but it's brittle, her grip on Ethan's arm tightening. She's lost the narrative, and she knows it. I turn back to Adrian, his hand still in mine, and we step away from the tent, toward the lawn where the helicopter waits. The bodyguards follow at a discreet distance, their presence a quiet reminder of Adrian's world, a world I'm part of now. Mom catches up to me, her voice soft. "Sophia, why didn't you tell me?" There's no reproach, just wonder. I smile, squeezing her hand. "I wanted to be sure," I say. "Now I am." She nods, tears in her eyes, and I know she sees me, really sees me, for the first time in years. The crowd's still watching, their whispers a hum in the background, but I don't care. I've spent too long explaining myself, dodging their pity, swallowing their jabs. Tonight, I let the truth speak, loud, unapologetic, and undeniable. Adrian's grand gesture wasn't just about the helicopter or the Paris wedding. It was about showing the world I'm not invisible, not less than, not waiting for anyone's approval. And as we walk across the lawn, his hand in mine, I feel the power of that truth, electric and unshakable. Has your moment of truth ever shocked someone who underestimated you? Drop your most satisfying "they didn't see it coming" story in the comments. I want to hear it. Because tonight, I wasn't just the single cousin. I was Sophia, fierce, independent, and finally seen. Adrian and I walk across the lawn, his hand steady in mine, the helicopter's blades casting shadows in the fading light. The crowd's whispers follow us, their awe palpable as Clarissa's engagement party fades into the background. Her furious outburst, "This is my night!" still rings in my ears, but it's drowned out by the quiet power I feel standing beside Adrian. His Paris wedding announcement flipped the script, and Clarissa's storming silence as we left the tent spoke louder than her earlier jabs. Mom's proud smile lingers in my mind, a beacon in the chaos. Now, as we approach the helicopter, its sleek black frame gleaming, I know this moment is mine. We board, the bodyguards taking their positions, and I settle into the leather seat, Adrian beside me. The door slides shut, muffling the crowd's murmurs. I glance out the window, looking down at the estate. Clarissa's guests are scattered across the lawn, phones raised, capturing the spectacle. Clarissa herself is nowhere in sight, likely stormed inside, her perfect night in tatters. Uncle Leo stands near the tent, his mouth forming a silent, wow, his earlier matchmaking forgotten. I smile faintly, a voice in my head narrating what my heart knows. Being single was never a curse. It was just a season, until the right one chose to walk in. The helicopter lifts off, the ground falling away, the fairy lights of the party shrinking to pinpricks. The crowd's faces blur, their gasps lost to the roar of the blades. Adrian squeezes my hand, his eyes warm. "Worth the wait?" he asks, his voice cutting through the hum. I laugh softly, nodding. Every second. We soar higher, the estate vanishing, and I feel weightless, not just from the altitude, but from shedding the years of pity, the labels, the need to explain myself. Back in my apartment days later, I sit by the window, the city's glow soft outside. The memory of that night feels like a vivid dream. Clarissa's shock, Mom's pride, Adrian's unshakable presence. I didn't need to prove myself, not to her, not to anyone. I just needed to live, to trust my path. And when you do that, life brings the unexpected, a man who sees you, a moment that silences the doubters, a truth that shines brighter than any spotlight. So tell me, would you wait in silence and shock the crowd, or announce your wins early? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story made you smile, hit subscribe, and let's keep sharing these unforgettable moments together, because living your truth, quietly or loudly, is the greatest victory of all.